God promised the world that one day He would send us a Saviour, someone to rescue us from the poison of sin. That poison had made people forget that they were God's dear children, and it made them forget that God was a good Father. In fact, that poison made some people even start to think that God didn't exist. God's children tried to live life their own way. Doing this was hard and empty. People came up with their own ideas about what was good and what was bad. And this is how the world became such a mess. Because the poison of sin muddles all our thinking. But God never gave up on His children. He kept His promise and sent us a Saviour. That Saviour was Jesus. Jesus came from heaven to remind us that God is our Father and that He is a good Father. He told stories to help people discover the amazing truth about God. Jesus said that God was like a good shepherd who would not rest until He found each lost sheep. Jesus said that God was like a good Father who would forgive even the biggest of messes. Jesus said God cared for each little bird, and so we could trust Him to care for us, because we are much more dear to Him than little birds. But Jesus didn't just talk about how incredible God was, Jesus showed it. He told people that if they wanted to know what God was really like, they should watch Him. And then Jesus did wonderful, wonderful things. When He was at a wedding and they ran out of wine, Jesus didn't want the bride and groom to be embarrassed, so He turned water into wine to make sure there was more than enough for everyone. When Jesus met people with a deadly disease called leprosy, He touched them, and the goodness from God that was in Him flowed out of Him and healed them completely. When Jesus met a woman whose only son had died, He made the boy come back to life. He did all these things and many other things to show people how good God was. But there was more. Jesus spent time with the kind of people that no one wanted to spend time with. People whose lives were a real mess, and people that no one else thought were important. More than that, Jesus helped people who no one else would help. Jesus wanted everybody to know that no one was left out of God's love. All people were welcome in God's family, and this is why Jesus welcomed all who came to Him for help. You would think that everyone would be so pleased to hear such good news, but they weren't. Some people thought that Jesus was wrong about God's love. They thought that God didn't love everyone. They thought that God only loved good people. But Jesus told them that was a silly idea. God loved all of His children, and because all of His children had poison in their hearts, God had come to save the good children too. This offended the people that thought they were better than everyone else. In fact, it made them hate Jesus. But that didn't stop Jesus. He just kept on loving and loving. He even loved the people who hated Him, because that is what God's love is like. It never runs out, no matter what happens.